Welcome to Learn Commerce PU online classes. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Hello my dear students, welcome to economics online classes. In the previous class we had discussed about the globalization meaning and globalization, how the globalization in the economy and components, WTO and all. Let us look at what are the merits and demerits of globalization. So as you know that new economic policy 1991, NEP 1991 introduced three main reforms in the economy said to be the three-tier system of economy, LPG. NPG stands for liberalization, privatization, globalization. So let us look at globalization means opening up of our economy with the world economy, as I said. So exchange of thoughts, culture, education and movement of goods, services between the countries, movement of people between the countries, education, everything, exchange of culture is said to be the globalization. What are its merits and demerits? Introduction of globalization adversely affected to our country and also it is affected positively to our country. So let us look at the merits of globalization. First main advantage of globalization is with the globalization, India achieved economic growth. India achieved economic growth. GDP of our country increased. So what happened? Economic growth we achieved with the help of globally involving or interacting with the other countries with the help of trade or exchange of thoughts, culture, education, everything. Thus, employment opportunity increased. So, as I said, MNC companies came to India and set up their whatever the companies in India. So, they opened new and new job opportunities to the people. Thus, employment opportunities increased in India. So, as you know that once employment opportunity increased, it will increase the income of people. So, standard of living of the people, thus purchasing power parity of people increases. When the purchasing capacity increases, that automatically led to the increase in the demand for the goods. So, when the demand increases, supply automatically increases. To increase the supply, investors will invest more and more. Thus, production increases. So, overall GDP growth rate increases in the economy is said to be the increase in the economic growth and increase in the employment rate. Thus, rate of employment increased, it is because of globalization. Economic growth achieved, it is because of globalization. So, once we achieve the economic growth, it is because of increase in the employment that will reduce us the poverty. Thus, severe challenge faced by Indian economy from the past 50 decades from the independence till the 1952, 1990 or till now we are facing the problem of poverty. But during this time while introduced new economic policy introduced in 1991, so after that globalization it mainly impact on poorest household. So poverty reduced, it is because of creation of employment provided huge income to the people. Next one is main merit is technology improved. Technology improved. Earlier whatever we are using the old and outdated primitive techniques in the field of industries, agriculture and all other fields. But it is because of MNCs came to India and they started their business in India. So they adopted new and new technologies to improve the production, consumption, distribution, exchange. Thus, the improved technology improved our economic growth. Thus, technological knowledge of the people also improved. It is because of globalization. because globally rest of the world or any other countries interacting with our country, they came to India, they were going to invest here. During that time, whatever their technology and knowledge they bring here, and so whatever they brought the technology here, that improved our country a lot. Next is experienced professionals and experts from the foreign countries came to India. Experienced professionals, those who educated, professional in the particular fields, productive fields. So, and experts in the particular fields increased in India. So, experienced people, they also beneficial for us to increase the production and economic growth. It is because of globalization. So, most experienced professionals and experts from the different countries came to India, and they brought here many of the ideas and thoughts. So, next one is, it is because of globalization, one of the most distinguished as advantages, it decreased social issues. Earlier you know that social conflicts, many of these exploitations, inequality between men and women, most of the women were unable to go outside from this home, and they were live inside the home. So, their main activity is household activity according to the traditional thoughts. But all these blind beliefs and traditional thoughts were removed, and men were treated equally with the women, and women also came out from the home and started to do the work in the MNC companies. Thus, all the social issues were reduced. Child marriage ban, all other social issues were reduced. So, high competition arised. This because of MNCs, employment field also competition, production field also competition, consumption, distribution, exchange, whole economic activity, and in the economy high competition arised. It is because of globalization. Entrepreneurs, investment, competition in investment, production, consumption, distribution, exchange, everything increased. It is because of globalization. Next one is infrastructure. Infrastructure also developed. So, while our country is exchanging the trade or exchanging goods with one country with the other country, multilateral trade happens. When the international trade or multinational trade happens, during that time automatically infrastructure develops. Infrastructure means you know that ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಸೌಕರ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. Whatever we need, so construction of roads, dams, bridges, companies, factories, so schools, colleges, everything built. It is because of impact of globalization. Next one is recognition with rest of the world. So, India is recognized one among the country in the world. ಭಾರತವು ಒಂದು ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ದೇಶ ಅಂತ ಗುರುತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದದ್ದು after the 1991, that is after introduction of new economic policy through the liberalization, privatization and globalization. Opening up of our country with the other countries, or interaction of one country with the other country. India now interacted with the many of the countries. Trade barriers were restricted, whatever the restrictions were removed. So, there is no trade restrictions. India can go for trade with any other countries. Thus, recognition with the rest of the world. ಇಂಡಿಯಾವನ್ನು ಒಂದು ದೇಶ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶದವರು ಗುರುತಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತವು ಒಂದು ದೇಶ ಅಂತ ಗುರುತಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಹೇಗೆ? So, because in India we have the human resource, plenty of human resource or pool of human resource, highly skilled human resource we have. So, they utilizing our resources through the MNCs and other activities. So, it is because of increase in the infrastructure, increase in the employment, reduce in the poverty, increase in the technology and experienced professionals and experts. So, social issues reduced, people always brought together to work. Because of high competition, production increased, thus overall gross domestic product increased. Gross domestic product means you know that G means gross means total, domestic means internal product. Total internal product produced in the country during a year is said to be the gross domestic product. GDP also increased. So, due to increase in the GDP growth rate, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಯಿತು, ಆ ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆಯನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವ ಯೋಚನೆ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೇ ಟು ಟ್ರೇಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಟ್ರೇಡ್. Thus our export increased. Our export increased. It is because of multinational trade or international trade. Thus foreign exchange also increased. Exchange of one country's currency with the other countries. It will gain more rather than the internal trade. Thus external trade also increased. Thus these are the main merits or advantages from the introduction of globalization after the new economic policy 1991. Next we are going to see what are the negative impact of globalization on our economy with the heading demerits of globalization. So merits as you seen, next is demerits. Globalization not only led only the merits, at the meantime there are some disadvantages or drawbacks of globalization. Let us look at the demerits of globalization. First main demerit of globalization is domestic industries were collapsed. Means they never given importance to the domestic industries. They declined. Domestic industries declined, given importance only to the foreign companies to come to India and invest here and to get the profits. Thus domestic industries not given importance. Conditions of war, it created the condition of war, ಯುದ್ಧ ಭಯವನ್ನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಹೈ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್, ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, that will lead to the increase in the kind of fear of the war. Next, threat to agriculture. As I said earlier also, so they never given importance to the agriculture. As we know that India is agrarian country. Agriculture is needed for us because Indian people lack of skill and knowledge and technology most advanced during that time, because their main intention is main basic activity is agriculture, farming. Thus they never given importance to improve the agriculture. Thus threat to agriculture is one of the demerit of globalization. Then neglect of rural areas. So MNC companies are there in the only the cities, as you can see. If you after the graduation or whatever your quality and qualification, you should go out from your native places. Why you are going go out from native places? Search of jobs. So why to search a job means MNC companies are giving you the huge money and employment opportunities. Here no ample opportunities in the rural areas, but never MNC companies set up in rural areas. They neglected rural areas, only given importance to the urban areas. Next is domination by other countries. It is the fear of domination now. Earlier our country for the trade purpose only we given importance to the British, and they started to rule over our country and dominated our country. Next again it is a fear of domination by the other countries. So other countries will dominate to export and import of goods from our country. So domination fear is there to our country. It is one of the disadvantage or drawback or demerits of globalization. Next is exploitation of environment. So our environment is exploited, as you know that it is because of building of many such factories, companies, huge exploitation you can see, even the pollutions you can see on the environment. Natural resources were exhausted, global warming is happening, so soil erosion happened, water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, all it is because of the globalization. Exploitation of environment never considered, while development should go together with the balance with the environment, but here not considering any environmental issues. So exploitation of natural resources. So they negligently and negligibly used our natural resources. Thus this negligibility of the people is the fear of domination of our country. They neglected industries, Indian industries, rural areas never developed, they never developed agriculture, and domination fear is there. Exploitation of environment and natural resources are the main disadvantages from the globalization. So this is about the merits and demerits of globalization. So thank you for watching this video.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.